Good evening, my friends. This is Angie Stewart from My Inner Light here at Kardec Radio. Another time here. Very, very happy to be able to talk about beautiful books with all of you and hopefully with our friends that will be listening the recording in Kardec Radio. I was having some problems with the sound system there, so I hope it will be fine. If you are just arriving, let me know if you can hear my voice, if it is okay. I hope it is okay. Let's see. Anyway, so if you are new to our study, usually I ask everybody to put a glass of water or a bottle of water next to you, because in Spiritism we believe that the enlightened spirits can actually put some positive vibrations in our water, and then we can benefit from it. So very good. Oh, we have Katty. Hello, Katty. So nice to see you. A long time that I haven't seen or heard anything from you. Welcome. Hello, Carla. Hello, everybody. Can you guys hear me well? Just I was having problems with the sound of Kardec Radio, so I'm worried that you don't have a sound, but I guess you do. You're not complaining. Anyway, so let's start. And as usual, I like to calm down, relax, and we can do our initial prayer. Okay? Oh, very good. Carla just said that she can hear me very well. Dear God, beloved Master Jesus, thank you so much for bringing us here tonight to continue our studies, to continue our personal improvement, trying to be better, understanding the struggles of the others as well as our own, and hoping that we will all improve, forgiven, and also offering forgiveness, because without this, it's difficult to find the real love. Please, Master, stay with us. Help us and connect us with the enlightened spirits. Thank you so much. So be it. Very good. Very good. Thank you, Carla. So, as usual, we are going to start with this book, Among Brothers of Other Lands. And tonight we are going to start the chapter 1. So, chapter 1, the first part of the book. So this little portion is interesting for us to understand the book that I was talking a few weeks ago about the mediums, about how the book was written, about the environment of spiritists in Brazil, and about the Chico Xavier and Valdo Vieira who travel abroad to Europe and also to the United States to spread the Spiritist news to people that were not just Brazilians. You know, this beautiful news we should spread to everyone. The morals of the Spiritist philosophy are the morals of Jesus. And even if you don't agree with Jesus being an enlightened spirit, if you think he's a good person, is already good, because his morals are immortal, and no one can say whatever he said was bad, because it was all deeply love, and it was all that we could understand in that time, and we still struggle to understand nowadays. So imagine 2000 years ago when he was trying to help us to understand that hating other people, we are never going to be able to evolve. So if we still have struggles nowadays, imagine in that time. So this part that we start today is the first part, and it's important for us to understand this portion. It starts. Selection of messages received originally in Portuguese in the United States and Europe. So this is a curiosity that's interesting for us, as this received in Portuguese. And then when the mediums returned to Brazil, they received in Brazil messages in English. Isn't that interesting? I thought it was very different, but it was also, again, a proof for us and for the mediums themselves to understand that you do not need to be in States to get in English. You get in any language. The language of the is the thought, but this thought is translated, decodified to us in many different ways. So it also continues that the odd chapters were psychographed by Valdo Vieira, and the even chapters were done by Chico Xavier. So it's also interesting. So they were doing different chapters of the same book, and then Emmanuel told them, okay, let's coordinate, let's put everything together and let's create a book. Because Emmanuel was the spiritual guide of Chico Xavier, and he foreseen all his books and how they were done. So if you are new to the studies, I usually read the chapter, and this is only 2 pages, so it's very short, and then we comment. So please feel free to write your question or your comments, and I will read, and we can exchange thoughts and ideas. So let me just say hello to who arrived here. Katie and Carla, I already said hello, hello, very good. Teresa, hi Teresa, nice to see you again. Sol Souza, you're always here, very good, guys, girls. So let's go, chapter 1. Key points for the spiritist who visits other lands, and the messages from the spirit André Luiz. Get to know the legal provisions that apply in the country that you are visiting and obey them. Avoid prejudices and respect the feelings of each person that you meet, and try to help him, her. Avoid the personal showing off. Be discreet and simple. Respect the belief systems that you find different from the ones you have. Avoid criticism and arguments. Avoid compromising the Spiritist doctrine in any way. Do not engage in any clandestine business, even if it appears to be legal, despite your financial situation. Study the language of the country that you visit in order to be more useful. Refuse to make contemptuous comparisons, and avoiding humiliating your hosts. Avoid derogatory adjectives in regard to personalities, situations, cases, and things related to the nation that receives you. Silence jokes in bad taste. Do not give opinions concerning the difficulties of the area which you visit without a thorough knowledge of the causes that produce them. Do not create problems. As far as possible, avoid the financial debts wherever you are. Do not flatter nor depress anyone. Never be sarcastic about any of the habits and beliefs of the country that you visit. Concern about proselytism. However, always be ready to say a good word or give a fair idea about Spiritism in order to plant the notion of revitalization and evolution in the listeners. Do not either boast about or denigrate your homeland. Abolish the word foreigner from your vocabulary and treat all children of other nations as your true brothers and sisters. So this message was received in New York City, United States, on July 29, 1965. Beautiful message with very important points for all of us to talk about and to reflect. So let me just try to keep paying attention to whatever you guys are saying here so I don't miss it. So Nora Brazil arrived. Hello, Nora. Welcome. Gabriel Inácio. I'm here as well. Awesome. Sandra Mossoro Brazil. Hello, Sandra. Welcome. And I hope Elena comes too. So as I just finished reading this beautiful message, let's try to reflect little by little. So this message was brought by the spirit of André Luiz, and was given to the mediums Paulo Vieira and Chico Xavier to create this beautiful book. And the messages here are directly related to spiritist people that travel abroad, that go to other countries. But you don't even need to relate just to spiritism. You can relate to yourself in anything. So it's talking here about spiritism, but we can apply to our daily lives. So let's go. Get to know the legal provisions that apply in the country that you are visiting and obey them. So this is important for us to understand what is okay there. So if we think everything we do in Brazil is fine everywhere, we are very wrong, because it's not. Sometimes even the little things. For example, in Brazil, it's very common for all of us to kiss on the cheeks and to hug people, to touch people. It's very common. But in America, it is not. It's very different. People do this too, but after they know you. It's not that they just introduce to you and they, hi, mwah, mwah. No. Americans are more formal, and it's okay. It's normal for them, and we have to respect it and understand. After they know you, after they have a little bit of a understanding or knowledge of you, they warm up, and they are actually happy to kiss and hug. But in the beginning, it's not like that, and it's not because they are not impolite or cold. No, it's their tradition, it's their usage. So we have to understand and respect, instead of immediately start talking badly about differences. So this is important for us. This happened to me in the past. You know, I arrived here, as soon as somebody introduced me, I started, so it was hard for me to understand in the beginning, but then I understood. I really appreciate my husband explaining it to me, and everything was great. So we continue. Avoid prejudice and respect the feelings of each person that you meet, and try to help. We should always do that. We should always respect people and avoid immediately judging people through whatever happens. It's something that we have to learn how to control ourselves. We are very quick to point the fingers at others that are doing it, but many times we don't think, am I doing it? So we think about it. Avoid the personal showing off. Why do we have to be like that? Many times we like to be showing off with certain things, but this is because of the level of our evolutionary stage at this moment. You know, some are more elevated and they understand they don't need to do that. Others are all way down. Whatever they have, they want to demonstrate to everyone. And you know, most of us are in the middle, that we try to we try to be okay but sometimes we go down too. Respect the belief systems that you find you have. Today I was talking to a very good friend who is extremely religious, but she's not spiritist. And she was telling me about her beliefs and her way of understanding things. And I was like understanding her point of view and trying to show my point without imposing anything, because I do not want that. I already overcame this difficulty, and nowadays I enjoy talking about spiritism, but not imposing it. We are going to talk about this in the text, so I will tell you this story when we arrive there. So avoid criticism and arguments. So this is very connected to the first. So whenever we start finding differences in anything, not just in religious system of belief, but also in politics, in soccer, in whatever, we should try to avoid the arguments. We should really understand that we are all different, and we should try to respect the others. I love pink, but if every single person liked pink, that would be a problem. That would be very boring, and would be even worse if I start obligating everybody to love pink. So this is for us to apply in everything. And I was talking to her also, like, I am a Democrat. I like to think that I'm more liberal. I understand more. I like to think that. But it's not every Democrat great. Like, I just felt really horrible this week when the governor of New York, he just allowed abortion, and he allowed abortion to be legal until the 7th month of pregnancy. This is extremely painful to imagine that a woman can just kill her baby 7 months inside her belly. It's very, very sad. And unfortunately, it was approved and legalized, and it can start happening in the New York City. So this is one of the things to us to understand, that is not everything from one that's perfect and wonderful. It's absolutely not true. We are all human beings trying to better ourselves, making good things and making mistakes. The important thing is to try to come back to balance and start seeing positive things and recognizing mistakes, and try to be in that middle level, respecting and trying to improve ourselves first instead of pointing fingers first. So André Luiz continues. Avoid compromising the Spiritist doctrine in any way. We always say in Spiritism that it's easier for us to help people to enjoy or to be curious about Spiritism because of our behavior, because of our conduct, because of how we face difficulties, how we live our lives. So if we don't have a good behavior, if we don't have a good way of reflecting or acting through the difficulties of life, how we are gonna show that Spiritism is helping us? Because that's what we usually say, oh, I'm better because Spiritism is teaching me about the life after the death of the physical body, the consequences, the problems that I can create to myself. But if I start creating problems, and nowadays with social media, every single human being have a cell phone. and they can film you, they can take pictures of you, and they can say, look what this woman was doing. And then if this woman is a spiritist, for example, oh, so that's what spiritism say is good. And you know, we are talking about spiritism. Imagine famous people. For them, it's even worse because they are famous public figures. Whatever they say or whatever they do has an impact on themselves, on their career, and also in the public that follows them and love them. So everything we say, we have to be careful, because as Chico Xavier used to say, everything we say is projected out and does not return. So you said, it's said. Yes, if it was bad, you can always go and say, I'm sorry, I didn't know what I was doing, I was angry, whatever. But after it was done, it was done. There is no way that you can cancel it. You can make amends. So do not engage in any clandestine business, even if it appears to be legal, despite your financial situations. This is very connected to the one I just said. Imagine if you are a public speaker, for example. You are a public speaker of spiritism. And then you go to a different, you don't even need to go to a different country, different spiritist center. And you engage in something that's not very legal. And even if you did this by mistake, because you did not know it was illegal, and then you got in trouble, you got in this big trouble, and now until people will be able to prove that you did not know it was illegal, it's already bad, it's already damaging your personal moral, should I say that? Yeah, well, your personal, I don't really know how to say, but it's damaging your figure, it's damaging for your conduct. And imagine the spiritist center that you represent, it's even worse. So we have to be super careful with this. And study the language of the country that you visit in order to be more useful. So this is extremely positive. We all love when the people from other countries meet us anywhere and they say, obrigado, oi, tudo bem, with their accent. We get so excited. It's like it's bonding to know that person from whatever country she is knew at least a little bit of our language. Isn't that exciting? It's always super cool. Curiosity. I was watching a show, and in this place there was this man that was showing us how to handle these alligators. He is an alligator lover. He rescues them, and he works with them since he was 4 years old. So we were in this place, and there was a huge group of Germans. And then the tour guide asked him if she could translate whatever he was saying, the most important things to them. And he said, yes, of course. And then he said a few words in German. All the German like, whoa! So you could feel the energy of happiness. They were all like super excited that he knew like 2 words. And I felt the happiness too. I'm like, wow, this is super cool. So this is a proof for us that if we can bond in a positive way with people of a different languages, different countries, that's always a plus. So refuse to make contemptuous comparisons and avoiding humiliating your hosts. So what is contemptuous? It's like it's a negative thing, it's a disapproval. So contemptuous comparisons, so negative comparisons, comparing your country with another country in a negative way. We should always avoid this, because we have to understand that every place in the planet Earth have beautiful things, but have bad things too. So there is no place in this planet that's absolutely perfect. Oh, Switzerland is the paradise. Well, there are many beautiful things and positive, but there are problems. Exactly like Brazil. Brazil is the paradise. We all know Brazil is beautiful, the population is sweet, the food is marvelous, the warmth, there is no natural disasters, well, besides the ones man create, but there are lots of other problems with corruption. We know about that. And this is in every place in the planet, different types of problems. So let's try to encourage the positive things, the beautiful things that every country or every culture has to offer. So this is also something very good. So let me see if anyone arrived. Guilherme Charré. Oh, this is Carla, his mother. Hello, Carla, how are you? So Saul Souza said, that's why I like to be a spiritist. We learn to be a better human being. Yes, every time, every day with everything. So Teresa said integrity. Yes, Teresa, so important to have this integrity within us, with anyone, not just a spiritist, but within us. In the Gospel according to Spiritism, we study about we study in a chapter that I should have written before, but about the moral persons. So there are many qualities of the moral person. And then you read all the important qualities, all the main qualities. And sometimes you get overwhelmed. You're like, ah. So I need to have all those qualities to be a moral person. And then the people are thinking, oof, that's hard. That's very difficult. And then the next chapter is the spiritist person. So the spiritist person is the first one, qualities of the moral person, plus all the spiritist points of views that you have to put in place. So besides being moral, you have to follow the precepts of spiritism, understanding the law of action and reaction. So it can be overwhelming. But as I was doing the gospel according to Spiritism last week with my husband, we read those chapters and I was explaining and telling him, yes, it can be difficult. Yes, it's not easy, blah, blah, blah. He told me, and he's not a Spiritist, he's Protestant. He told me, well, but here in the book, Kardec is saying that the important thing is the effort that we are making to become a moral person. And this was phenomenal because this is true. It's not that we need to have all those qualities immediately because they might be very difficult. We might have already achieved a few of them, but all of them we are still struggling. But as the enlightened spirits explain in Kardec too, the important thing is that we are putting an effort to become this moral person. This is the most important and the most beautiful message of that chapter. Angelita, hello, my friend. So nice to see you here. I think you're in New York City right now, and I know it is very cold there. My goodness, the temperatures in New York and Chicago are brutally freezing. I'm glad I'm in Miami. So let's see, Alicia. Alicia Ramos said, to be a better human, it's so difficult, but try to be a better person. To be a better person, many struggles and failures in our lives. Yes, Alicia, you are right. We have a lot of ups and downs. The important thing is that when we are up, we are like, oh, this is wonderful. But then we make a mistake, go always down. to lift our heads and go up again and try to not repeat the same mistake. That's the important. It's like it's our personal daily show, understanding that if I did a mistake, I have to stand up and try not to repeat it. And the effort, making the effort for always being better today than I was yesterday. So continue. Avoid derogatory adjectives in regards to personality, situations, cases, and things related to the nation that receives you. So derogatory is disrespectful. Imagine you go to a country to visit, and then you start saying bad things about the country. You start saying, oh, because you guys in my country, we don't. That's very connected to what I just said. Every country and every place in this planet have good things and have mistakes. So we are visiting a place. Let's focus on the positive. It's the same thing when you are visiting a house of someone. We shouldn't go to the house of someone and start pointing problems, start saying, oh, you have a crack here. Oh, the color of your living room is really ugly. You should painting, whatever. All this. This is not nice. You are visiting, so you should focus on whatever is good and positive. And if you cannot say something that's good and positive, zip. Don't say anything. Just try to be in prayer, and whatever you say, try to be positive. It will make the host happier, and you will be welcome to return there again. Think about it. It's so easy for us when we think, would I like to receive a person telling me things like that about my country, about my home? No. So if I don't want this to happen to me, let's avoid doing that to someone else. And it's funny because for us it seems so natural, so common, and if we don't pay attention, we start doing things like that, not even realizing. So it's so important for us to pay attention. Silence jokes in bad taste. You know, nowadays there are lots of jokes with bad things, and yes, it can be funny at the first moment, but we have to understand that deep inside it can be painful to the person that's going through that. In the past, I used to love to go to a comedian's show. I used to love it. It was so much fun. But then I start getting very upset because 90% of comedians say bad words all the time. Yes, the jokes and the stories they say are funny, but the bad words are something that really hurts me. And then making fun of people. They always pick someone to make fun. And then everybody in the audience start cracking up. And the poor person, for sure, wants to hide in the bathroom. So other day I was talking to my husband, and I discovered a restaurant. He is offering a comic show every Thursday. And I said, oh, I would like to go. And then my husband said, oh, no, I don't feel comfortable in hearing funny things about people there, because, you know, a person is bald, a person is fat, a person is skinny, a person has an ugly shirt, and everybody laughing. And I'm like, it's true. It's true. So I'm like, you know, I don't find it funny anymore. So I'm like, yes, let's do something else. Let's study Spiritism. So continue. Do not give opinions concerning the difficulties of the area which you visit without a thorough knowledge of the cases that produce them. It is true. Sometimes we know part of a truth, a little piece of a truth, but we don't know 100% of the truth. And for us to give opinions in certain things can be very dangerous, especially if we do not live there. So be always careful with this. Even if you're going to say, in my opinion, but it's not good because you don't even know everything. So just try, I don't know, this is new for me, what do you think? But try to avoid it. It can be very dangerous, can be very bad. Do not create problems. This should be like very easy to understand. As far as possible, avoid financial debts wherever you are. Do not flatter nor depress anyone. Never be sarcastic about any of the habits and beliefs of the country you visit. Yes, who are you? You are not better than anyone. I already mentioned that. We should respect everyone. Avoid being concerned about proselytism. So what is proselytism? Proselytism is when you try to convince someone of something, and usually it's related to a belief system. So it's like you going somewhere, you're talking to someone, and suddenly you try to convince that person that Spiritism will cure her life. Spiritism will make her a better person. Yes, it could even be for us if we really understand and apply the moral teachings of Jesus, the understanding that we have to be better every day, respect, forgive, blah, 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 blah. But it's not nice to try to convince anyone like this. It's almost like you are imposing your belief. And as we know, something that's good for us might not be good for someone else. So try to avoid it. It's always better to demonstrate Spiritism through your life, through whatever you do, through whatever you talk about, through your behavior. This is much, much more positive. And then he continues, however, always be ready to say a good word or give a fair idea about Spiritism, in order to plant the notion of a revitalization and elevation in the listeners. Do not either boast or denigrate your homeland, abolish the word foreigner from your vocabulary, and treat all children of other nations as true brothers and sisters. So this is how we should always treat everybody, as brothers and sisters, respecting their beliefs. But if they are curious about Spiritism, we should plant a little seed, explain in a positive way, try to open up about it. So going back to the story that I was telling before. So let me just say what Elena said. Obrigada. Hello, Elena. Very, very nice to see you. So Alicia said, yes, focus to the positive, do not focus in negative, because if the focus on the negative, your life is useless. Yes, correct. That's what we have to be. Always focus on the positive. Be that person that when someone sees you and say, you know, I like to see her or him because he or her always makes me feel good, always makes me feel happier. This is awesome. So going back to my story. So I was talking to this friend, and she was mentioning about the books that she got for Christmas. And one of the books is a very scientific book, very famous right now, but she was not agreeing. She was having a hard time with the book. And I said, why? And she said, well, because it's a scientific mind. The author wrote the book, and in the book he is saying that we evolve from the animals, and I do not agree with it. So I didn't go much into details of what type of evolution is explained there, but I said, but why don't you agree with this theory of the evolution? And she said, well, because we were created by God. And I said, yes, I also understand that we were created by God, but we have to understand also the scientific proofs that we have through the billion years of the modification of Earth and the evolvement of everything, blah, blah, blah. And she said, no, but I don't believe this. I just believe that we were created by God. And I said, so how? And she said, well, God created Adam and Eve. And from Adam and Eve, they had all the people in the world. I was very surprised. I was like, so you think all the people in the planet came from Adam and Eve. That's it. Just two people had all this billions of people nowadays. And she said, yes. So then I was like, okay, let's go back to the Bible. But you have to understand, I was not imposing anything. This was just a conversation. She is super religious, and I think she thinks I'm super religious too. And I am. I love to study religiosity, spirituality. And I also like to study the history of the Bible. And then I said, okay, so if all the human beings were created only through Adam and Eve, and their two children, the two first children, were Adam and Cain, Adam and Cain and Abel, Cain and Abel, the two children. And Cain killed Abel. Do you remember? And she said, yes, but they were not the only children. He had many kids after them. And I said, okay, so it's fine. So after Cain and Abel, Adam and Eve had many other kids. But how can you explain to me that after Cain killed Abel, he ran away to a far land called Nod? And in Nod, he met a population, not one person. He met a whole population. And in this population, he met his wife. And then he had many kids who also married other people and had other kids. And she was like, she was super surprised. And she was like, no. I said, yes, it's true. If you know deeply the Bible, you know in the beginning of this passage, when explains about Cain and Abel, explains that he got married with a person that they didn't even know. So this is just for you to understand that sometimes no, always, it's important for us to know deeply what we are talking about. So we are not going to impose beliefs in anyone. We are just going to bring facts to the person to think about. And this was enough for her to be reflecting about, really trying to understand who were these other people that she never heard about. She only believed that Cain and Abel had 20, 30 kids, and amongst themselves, the brothers and sisters, they had males like this. So this made her to really reflect. And she told me, I never heard of this part of this town of Nod. So this was like the seed for her to reflect about. So God only created two people? No, God, I told her, Adam and Eve, they were the symbol of humanity, the symbol of this transition that we had from the animal kingdom into the human kingdom. And even in Spiritism, we do not know how this transition really happened. We don't know when exactly we left being animals, having an intelligent principle, to become human beings with spirit and intelligence of a spirit. So this is one of the mysteries of God. We know it happened, but the exact moment we don't understand. So the symbol of Adam and Eve, they were the first beings, but they were created all over the planet, more or less at the same time, in different areas of the planet. So this is one of the things that if we know well what we are talking about, we can help people from other beliefs to reflect about their own beliefs and try to understand, am I really right? Maybe there is something else there that I never thought about. So this is interesting. This is interesting for us all to reflect. And now we are going to go to to a different part. We are going to go to the gospel, and we are also going to talk about very interesting things. We are going to talk about resurrection and reincarnation. So a lot of people do not believe in reincarnation. But why? Because they do not understand. They cannot understand the explanations that they can find in the Bible itself. Because some religions, they only accept what is written in the Bible. Most of them, even just in the Old Testament. But even the New Testament, the ones who accept the New Testament, they can't fully understand the messages that Jesus brought to us, because we know that lots of the messages had that veil that Jesus put in allegorical stories to try to make us to understand. But these specific messages, they are very direct, but they are like mixed up in the Bible, and people usually read it quickly and they don't pay attention. So if we would like to really leave Spiritism, we should understand it. So when somebody asks us, but why do you believe in reincarnation? You are not going to be able to, you're not going to say, because someone told me it's true, or because Kardec said so. Yes, he said so, but how? How can you explain to me? So this is the point. When we understand something, it's so much better than when we believe in something. Because beliefs, they can be points of views. But when you understand something, it helps you, gives this boost of knowledge that you can help other people to think about. Even if at this first moment they're going to say, nah, I don't believe you, but I will research about it. That's exactly what happened to my friend. She said, I will research about this town of Nod in the time of Cain and Abel. So this is the point. So let me see what Gabriel said. Gabriel said, thank God, all these teachings make me who I am. That's why whenever people ask me how came I work at Igreja Universal as an editor of Image for 13 years, even though being a spiritist, I answer, I need to just respect them and learn all I think is good from them. I really thank Kardec Radio for this live. Gabriel, beautiful message, so beautiful. So as I understand, you worked to Igreja Universal, and you are a spiritist. This is a beautiful message. So this is exactly what I was telling my friend today. I said, you have your belief and I have mine. If we focus in the main point we have in common, we are never going to have a fight because of religion. But if we focus in things that we absolutely do not agree, that's already a barrier. And I told her, I know you do not believe in reincarnation. You're extremely against it. So let's not talk about it. Let's talk about the morals of Jesus. Because this we both agree and we understand they are beautiful and they're good. And then I even told her about different religions that do not even believe in Jesus. They just think he was a normal person, a good person, but nothing special. But they agree that his moral teachings were good. So if we all could just focus in whatever is good and whatever connects us, these religious wars, they would stop. And the good spirits, they told us one day is not that the spiritism will be the religion of the planet, because that's not true. But all the religions will respect each other and they will know spiritism. So one day this will happen. All the religions will respect each other and they will be connected with whatever they agree, love, respect, forgiveness. And doesn't matter the name of your God or the name that you call to be the highest being. So this is the future. The future is this. The future is this respect amongst all the religions. That's beautiful. So, my friends, as I was mentioning last week, we were talking about resurrection and reincarnation. So I said, oh, I just moved to the gospel, okay? So I am on chapter 4, and I am gonna read number 10. Number 10 is very interesting. So as we studied last week, the Hebrews, they had a basic understanding of resurrection. They really couldn't understand very well what was reincarnation because they had just this understanding of resurrection. So Jesus tried to show them without saying reincarnation, because this word is not from the time of Jesus. But they had this understanding of resurrection, like the cases that people were taking their dead, just went there and helped them to return to their physical body. So they thought the people were dead, but as we know, they were not dead. They were sick. They were in a stage that their physical body is taking as dead, but the spirit is still connected to the physical body. In spiritism, we know if the connections of the spiritual being are cut from the physical body, there is no way you can put them back together. And in science also, if the fluid of life is gone, you cannot put this person to be alive again. So Jesus was giving many explanations to show that the reincarnation was not what they had in their minds, was not dying and coming back to the same body, but being born again, to return to another body. So Jesus was explaining. So in this number 10, chapter 4, number 10, we have, now, since the time of John the Baptist until the present, the kingdom of heaven has been taken by violence, and violent are those who obtain it. For up until John, all the prophets and the law thus prophesied. And if you wish to understand what I have said, he himself is Elijah, who must come. Let him hear who has ears to hear. So Jesus is explaining in Matthew 11:12 that John the Baptist is the prophet Elijah, the past prophet Elijah, reincarnated as his cousin, John the Baptist. If you don't know, John the Baptist was the cousin of Jesus. He was a few years older than Jesus himself. So the explanation number 11 goes, if the principle of reincarnation as expressed in John could be strictly interpreted in the puerile mystical sense, the same could not apply to this passage from Matthew, which is unmistakable. He himself is Elijah, who must come. Here, there is neither symbol nor allegory. It is a positive affirmation. Since the time of John the Baptist until the present, the kingdom of heaven has been taken by violence. What do these words mean? Since John the Baptist was still alive at the time, Jesus explains them, saying, if you want to understand what I told you, he himself is Elijah who must come. Hence, since John was none other than Elijah himself, Jesus was alluding to the time when John was living under the name of Elijah. Until the present, the kingdom has been taken by violence. Is another allusion to the violence of the Mosaic law, which ordered the extermination of the infidels to win the promised land. The paradise of the Hebrews were heirs according to the new law. Heaven is won by charity and kindness. So in this point here, Jesus is explaining that in the time of Elijah, the law that was important, that was governing all of them, was the Mosaic law. The Mosaic law that was very strict, was very tough, was very violent. So if you do something wrong, you have to suffer the consequences immediately. There was a God of fear that we already spoke here before in the past lessons, that Moses needed to put this law of fear because the people in that time, they could not understand the new law. That's the law that Jesus is bringing. He's explaining about this God that is just love, is charity, is forgiveness. So people had a hard time to understand. So when Elijah, even if Elijah was a prophet, extremely powerful, and he did amazing things. If you study the Old Testament, you can see what Elijah was capable of doing. When he was proving his connection with God from a thousand priests, they were not able to do anything that he did. So he told the kings of the place, if I show you my God, if I do here what I'm going to tell you, if it happens, then these people will have to pay, the priests, the 1,000 priests. And of course, Elijah was able to put fire. Elijah did so many things, and the kings were in disbelief, and they had to execute the 1,000 priests. Some Bibles even say 10,000. So I'm like, oh my God, 10,000 priests, but I can imagine, I can visualize 1,000. 1,000 people died because of the tough law of the Mosaic time. So Jesus is saying, because of the violence, you will have to go through violence. And that's why John of the Baptist, he died in a violent way, in a painful way. But it was almost like his cleansing from whatever he did in the past. So this you already can see the beautiful of Jesus, God, the loving God. So if you think Elijah killed only that moment, he told people to kill 1,000 people, and then he died. Yes, he died decapitated. But if you compare to 1,000 people, it's not that God will make him to die 1,000 times, but one time in a tough way. So it's almost like when we understand the mistakes we did, God sees everything, and he's able to judge us for everything we did, good or bad. And he's always merciful and loving. We always have that thing, oh, you robbed my chocolate, so I'm gonna rob your chocolate. And God is not like that. God is like, oh, you did something bad, but if you really repent, if you really understand what you did was really bad, and you leave to do good for others, you are already doing a cleansing of your debt from the past. So you are not going to need to go through the same horrible things you probably imposed in other people because of the love of God and the immense forgiveness towards our mistakes. So this is important for us to understand. So this is what Jesus was referring about the reincarnation, and people still could not understand that Elijah was John of the Baptist. There are many other passages in the Bible that talk about the exact same thing, and I studied with you few of them. Even Nicodemus, remember last week Nicodemus went to talk about Jesus, about going back to the belly of his own mother. And then Jesus said, "Oh, Nicodemus, you are a student of the law. You don't know about it?" So it's very good for us to understand, not just to believe. We believe because we understand. That's the point. That's the point we all need. When we understand, we are able to know the facts and talk to anyone that do not understand it yet. So Alicia said, weak signal. Oh my God, really? I hope you can hear me, Alicia. If not, the video was recorded and you still can go back to Facebook and see it. And Gabrielle said, I've been working there for 13 years, but I am a spiritist since I was born. Wow, Gabrielle, very nice. Very nice. You see? You are the example that's the example that I told my friend today. When we have this respect amongst different people, we can all live together in a peaceful, beautiful way. So you are the living message. Very good. So my friends, I didn't have much time to go through the passages here about the reincarnation, but please just take a quick look in the numbers 15 and the 16. So I'm just gonna read it really quick. It's 10:05. Let me read really quick. Number 15 just talk about the principles of the plurality of existences is clearly expressed in 3 versions of the Bible. So if you read the 15, it talks about these passages explaining that the different existences, and Jesus says, I'm leaving my house. I'm sorry, let's read this one here. The days of my earthly existence ending, I will wait, because to it I shall return. It's talking about returning to earth. And then Kardec explains, which means I shall return to earthly existence. This is as clear as someone else saying, I'm leaving my house, but I shall return to it. So these are just little messages explaining about Jesus trying to talk to us about reincarnation, but we couldn't fully understand in that time. The last one I'm going to read is, reincarnation was one of the fundamental beliefs of the Jews, that it was confirmed by Jesus and prophets formally, from which it followed to deny reincarnation is to deny the words of Christ himself. So with this we close, and next week we are going to read family ties strengthened by reincarnation. So my friends, at this time I just would like to do a quick closing prayer. I hope you have your water, because the spirits will bless it and will help us to have a wonderful week or 2 weeks. That's the time we are going to be returning to this study. Dear God, thank you very much for all these blessings that we received tonight. Thank you so much for all the friends that listen to us now and will be listening to us later on. Master, with these positive feelings, help us always to vibrate this love, trying to be better day by day, trying to help people to see there is always a light at the end of the tunnel. Even when there is so much pain, God is our loving Father, and nothing happens by a chance. Everything has an explanation, but we can't understand it right now. But we have faith that this world is our loving home, and we all have to work together for the betterment of it and of ourselves. Thank you so much. So be it. So my friends, thank you so much. It was a blessing to be with you. Just would like to all of you going to bed and you're going to sleep, if you can do a prayer for all the people from the city of Brumadinho in Minas Gerais who perished this week with the terrible accident that happened there, and we don't know if 200, 300 people died. It's very painful for all their families, for all their friends, and for all of us that we are far from there, and that we feel their pain, and we imagine how difficult it will be to the city to recover, to their family members, to their jobs, to the animals, and even to the environment. So please pray tonight for all of them. Pray for our beautiful country, for our beautiful blue planet that needs so much of us, and that we are neglecting it so much. We need to work together in a good way, in a positive way, to help this land. I'm not talking about the United States or Brazil. I'm talking about our planet, because it needs us. We will be back. We will reincarnate here. So let's work to the betterment of our home. Thank you so much. God bless you all. I hope to see you again in 2 weeks. Bye-bye. Thank you. God bless you.